So Marketing Society has been going for 50 years, and one of the things it's trying to do is break out of all the stereotypes that we all have, all the events we feel we've been to before, all the things we think we've learned, and try and do something different. So that's really where we handed you the brief. So what are we going to be doing?
Well, we're going to be doing a Makes You Think session. You, Hugh and Gemma kind of, I think it's admirable that you're genuinely up for this, because to be honest, most societies that I've experienced represent the laggard end of the status quo, because they're sort of appeasing everybody, and therefore, they tend to lag rather than lead. And I know that, you are genuinely keen to try and lead, even if it's a bit controversial and not everyone likes it, which is the perfect brief for me. So I came up with the notion of Makes You Think sessions. Yeah, these are a quarterly assault on the synapses. They're designed to be provocative. They're from the frontiers of marketing. They're not supposed to be reasonable. They're not even supposed to be balanced. They may be completely kind of off the wall, but they won't be boring, and they should be stimulating. And what I'm trying to do is do it as a really interactive session, so people feel it's their session rather than a speaker kind of, sort of spieling on ad nauseam. So the whole session itself will be a bit different, and we'll get some wine down people's throats. That always liberates the synapses, and away we go.
Okay, so if the other objective is to inspire marketing leaders to take more risks, to do more things, again, what are the ways and the tools that, people should be looking for to help them do those things better?
Well, I think it's kind of like, unless you are slightly shocked and almost irritated, I don't mind, irritated, even angry, but you feel something, there's a fighting chance that it might just produce something different to that which you have always done. And I guess, let's see if we can inspire a little more madness, a little more, especially after the whole recession has just bottled everyone back down, the batten down the hatches mentality and survival mode.
Yeah.
You've got to open up. It's the 1st of March. Spring has arrived, and I think this is, it's kind of metaphorically, we've got to try and get people to open their minds, because there'll always be many reasons to shut them down. Good practical reasons, and ones that will be there. So our mission is to try and crank them open, and and just try and encourage people to experiment, to try things, to fail, and in that actually do something different that moves things on.
The Marketing Society has a few key themes that it's always trying to pursue. One is as customer champions, another one is digital, a third one is the green agenda and how we kind of make it work, and then the last one's growth drivers. How do businesses use marketing to drive their growth? Got any suggestions for how this session, or indeed how marketing should be trying to pursue those things?
Well, this session's growth drivers, how to drive growth. And I guess it is that, how do you do innovation? How do you change the agenda? How do you kind of change the rules in a category? And that is mighty difficult. It does tend to be mad entrepreneurs, who don't know the rules. And they are then able to change the rules because they didn't really know them in the first place. And I think that's a really difficult thing, tough thing for a big company to do. And I always remember, it was Diageo now, but it was IDV before it became part of Diageo, had a separate unit that was designed to create new category brands. Okay, so Bailey's Irish Cream was created out of this category, because it broke all the rules of actually making a sweet liqueur, because the liqueurs was something that really had to, burn the hell out of your lungs, sort of thing, as your esophagus as you swallowed it. And it's now the world's leading liqueur, but it failed in all research, and it took on. But they also launched Dexter's, the first energy drink, and I think the other one was Aqua Libra. If you remember Aqua Libra, the first, I suppose, kind of health-orientated drink. But that was because they actually gave themselves permission. Think small, fail fast. Do interesting stuff, don't go through the big company system. And that's certainly one brave way to do it. And, Dyson have their own skunk works, as do Apple. There are companies that seem to find ways to do this, but it isn't easy. It is tough, and it's a mindset, in a way, that liberates at least permission to try.
So if Bailey's failed in traditional screening, why wouldn't it fail in a brain juicer screening?
If it was a straightforward kind of traditional, quantitative concept, test, it would, I think. In a predictive market where you don't get people to answer for themselves, they buy and sell shares in what they think would be huge out there. I suspect Bailey's would have been a polarizing idea. Some people, quite a lot of people, would have said, I think that could just work. And an equal number would have said, it's the worst idea I've heard. It's a nonsense. And I think, if I'm really honest, that would be the best. It wouldn't have come through as a winner, but it may have come through as a polarizing, challenging idea. And those are the ideas that kind of you shouldn't throw away. You should go, I wonder if there's something in that. And that, I think, the crowd allows you that distance, that sort of arm's length that you don't, if you were a traditional liqueur drinker at that time when it was launched, you would have rejected it. It would have been utterly rejected resoundingly. But actually, if you're just in the crowd, you can think, yeah, I can imagine that. Sort of chocolatey, sweet liqueur, I can imagine that. And other people going, no, it's just all wrong.
So the other element is that actually, because you're asking a much wider random sample, rather than going to your core heavy users, that also you don't kill ideas that don't appeal to this tiny segment sometimes of your customers, but who are a small part of the total. So if you want real breakthrough or change, then sometimes you have to ask the whole crowd and not just your core users.
Yeah, I think it's sometimes it's easier to see other people than it is ourselves. If we're too into a subject, we overread it. We did one study with Marmite. Marmite's one of those things you love or you hate. And of course, all the lovers of Marmite pretty much overread everything. And the crowd, which included people who hated Marmite, were much more accurate, actually, than the Marmite lovers. So, there are dangers to that.